Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dion, and today we are doing a style spotlight on the incomparable, the white witch herself, Miss Stevie Nicks. This was a suggestion actually from one of you guys, and when they suggested it, I was like, no duh, because I've done a fairy goth and whimsy grunge video, and I've done like Rockstar Girlfriend. I love classic rock and roll, I love Fleetwood Mac, and I especially love Stevie Nicks. And it was sort of just like, how come I have not done a style spotlight on her? Especially because her style is so iconic. So that's what we're gonna do today. So if you like celebrity fashion and learning how to recreate different styles with clothes in your own closet, definitely subscribe to my channel because I post videos every Thursday. And with that, let's get into it. So I'm doing a little, she has a lot of fringe and like shawls. A lot of my stuff is still in storage from the move. I'm actually still in the process of knitting this, so you can still see the thread. And yeah, I'm doing a kind of a little boho look. Super fun. Still have like just a plain background with a random chair in the back because I'm still at my boyfriend's house, but we signed a lease today. Woo! Stephanie Lynn Nicks was born May 26, 1948. 26 Club, I'm April 26. I love a fellow 26 girl. She's an American singer, songwriter, and producer known for her work with the band Fleetwood Mac and as a solo artist. Originally from Arizona, her father's job caused her family to relocate across the southwest side of the United States. She received her first guitar at 16 and began to play in a folk rock group in high school. During her senior year, she met future partner and band member Lindsey Buckingham. Buckingham was in a psychedelic rock band, Fritz, but two of its musicians were leaving for college. He asked Nicks in mid-1967 to replace the lead singer. Fritz later opened up for Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin from 1968 until 1970. Stevie Nicks credits both acts as having inspired her stage intensity and performance. Both Nicks and Buckingham attended San Jose State University, where Stevie Nicks majored in communication. With her father's blessing, Nicks dropped out of college to pursue a musical career with Buckingham. In 1972, Fritz disbanded, and Nicks and Buckingham released a 4-track demo, Buckingham Nicks, in 1973. Sadly, the album did poorly. Lindsey contracted mononucleosis, and as a result, Stevie had to work multiple jobs and began using coke, something she struggled with for many years. Stevie Nicks actually wrote Rhiannon and Landslide prior to Fleetwood Mac beginning. Nick Fleetwood asked Lindsey to join the band New Year's Eve 1974, but not Stevie. After Lindsey insisted he and Stevie were a package deal, both joined Fleetwood Mac, and by 1975, they were a worldwide success. Fleetwood Mac has produced 7 albums, nominated for 7, and won 2 Grammys, including one for Album of the Year in 1978 for Rumors, arguably their best album. Bill Clinton, for his campaign, also used a song from Rumors. It's referenced in a John Mulaney skit. I mean, Rumors is definitely their most, I would say, transcendent album. Stevie Nicks wrote for her first solo album in 1979 while still in Fleetwood Mac and proceeded to write 6 other solo albums. Her solo work has been nominated for 8 Grammys. It's some statistic where it's like she's been nominated for Best Female Rock Performance like 5 or 6 times, but she's never won, making her the most nominated female rock artist who hasn't won yet, at least in her solo career. She's also been featured quite a bit in American Horror Story Coven and American Horror Story Apocalypse, causing a new generation to connect with her music. In 2020, I remember there being a Fleetwood Mac hippie 70s revival, at least on TikTok, and the song Dreams became trending on the app. This was like early in the pandemic, during the roller skating era. I feel like we heard a lot of Fleetwood Mac back then. This combined with Jay-Z Jones and the Six, a book then TV series loosely inspired by Fleetwood Mac, gaining popularity in the past few months, has put Stevie in the limelight once again. So normally in these style spotlights, I don't like to touch on very many negative things, but I don't find this negative. I'm going to talk a little bit about Stevie Nicks' addiction, so just fair warning. Stevie Nicks struggled with cocaine addiction from 1973 until her stint in rehab at the Betty Ford Center in 1984. She's been very honest about her addiction. I highly recommend watching the 2013 Oprah interview about it all. It's on YouTube. It's really, really powerful. Once she got out of rehab, her managers urged her to see a psychiatrist who prescribed her Klonopin, an anti-anxiety medication, which unfortunately led her down a Klonopin addiction. She now refers to that doctor as Dr. Fuckhead. Something I admire about Stevie is that she doesn't mince words about her drug addiction. She's very clear that it was going to make her go blind, put a hole in her nose, and possibly cause her to not be able to sing anymore.
Mick and I would never have had an affair had we not had a party and all been completely drunk and messed up and coked out and, you know, ended up being the last two people at the party. And so guess what? It's not hard to figure out what happened. What happened wasn't a good thing. It was doomed. It was a doomed thing, caused a lot of pain for everybody, led to nothing. And I'm like, gee, could you have just laid off the brandy and the coke and the pot for 2 days so that you didn't look like your eyes were swimming in water? Everybody else thought you looked beautiful, but that's because everybody else was stoned. You didn't look beautiful, you looked high.
She put herself into rehab and is very proud of the fact that she got herself through the throes of addiction. Like with many addicts, you can't force them to get clean and stay clean. They have to want to do it themselves.
And I can remember thinking to myself at that point, wow, who knew 4 years ago that, you know, that I would even be a part of anything that was this stupid? To be spending this much money on this stupid drug. This is crazy. This could have, you know, 2 weeks worth of cocaine could have paid our rent for 6 months.
I think out of all rock stars that have used and abused drugs, Stevie has been one of the most honest and upfront about what the cost of addiction is. And again, normally I don't like to touch on these aspects of my Style Spotlight's life, but I think her resiliency and her transparency is so admirable, and that strength deserves to be recognized. So congrats, Stevie, on all that.
My only advice to anybody who is watching me talk right now is to say, save your money, because it's going to cost you $50,000 to go to rehab. Because you will have to go, or you'll die.
Few people have defined the free-spirited Bohemian fashion quite like Stevie Nicks. Nicks' signature sense of style has been just as captivating as the mystical persona she embodies on stage. Her groovy, witchy style is so recognizable, she even played a witch on American Horror Story because of it. Her dramatic hats and handkerchief hems have only continued to bewitch her fans as well as fashion designers, who often take cues from her dazzling performance outfits. Part of the reason it's so recognizable is because it's been consistent. The singer has been long devoted to her beaded and fringe shawls, which at this point are basically an extension of Stevie Nicks herself, along with her famous ribbon-adorned tambourine, of course. In the 70s and 80s, Nicks' style fit easily into the glitz and glam of the two eras. Plenty of people were sporting bohemian, crystal-embellished dresses in luxe velvet and laces. While many went more minimal in the decades that followed, Stevie Nicks has continued on with her love of flowy fabrics and vintage materials. The overall essence of Stevie Nicks' style in 5 words or less would be ethereal, witchy, bohemian, celestial, and timeless. With her long lace dresses, layered fabrics, crystal pendants, and platform boots, it is undeniable that Stevie Nicks' appeal stretches far beyond the realm of her artistry and impeccable talent. Seen today within the popular indie style and whimsy goth aesthetic, aspects of Stevie Nicks' witchy persona has and will continue to appear in trends for years to come. So aesthetics that I feel like take a lot of inspiration from Stevie Nicks' personal style are obviously fairy grunge, whimsy goth, and like 70s bohemian. If you want to look more into Stevie Nicks' style and how to apply it in like a 2023 way, I highly suggest like looking up those aesthetics on Pinterest and TikTok, and I think it like modifies it in a nice, cool, modern way. Staples of the aesthetic are maxi skirts and maxi dresses, layering, fabric mixing with velvet, chiffon, lace, and leather, vintage nightgowns, and corsets. For shoes, she used a lot of platforms, which were popular in the 70s, and she's only 5'2". She specifically used a lot of platform boots. Favorite accessories include crystal and pendant jewelry, top hats, fringe shawls, ribbon-adorned tambourines, turquoise and oxidized silver rings, and lots of bracelets. For the color palette, it's mostly a lot of black. She says that's her favorite color, but you can see that there's also that like 70s orange, yellow, muted tone that was super popular in that like Western rock aesthetic. She's also worn outfits that are like all white or all red quite a few times. For her hair, she loved big teased 70s and 80s hair, even had a shag at one point. She's been rocking the straight across bangs for a while. It's long, it's thick, even to this day, it's still just like flowy, hippie. And I love any woman that decides to have like straight across bangs as their go-to style. I have a few women in my life that do that, and I think it's such a commitment and so admirable. They're just like, no, bangs are that's my thing. And Stevie Nicks has been rocking bangs for a while. For makeup, lots of smudgy eyeliner and an orangey red lip seems to be what is worn most, with some fabulous 80s blush right in the pockets of the cheek. I tried to do that today. She has very like deep set creased eyes, and so I tried to mimic that with makeup. I don't know if it worked out. Smudgy eyeliner. And yeah, when you look at photos, that like 80s blush right here, now in 2023 we like to do blush across the bridge right here, but I feel like the 70s and 80s were all about this area, and I feel like that just brings a kind of like a roundness to the face rather than a sharpness in the middle, which is nice. And I think for this aesthetic, like smudgy liner, like kind of a glossy red brown lip, and then like just pink blush right here. Love it. And like teased hair. In terms of getting the look, for a classic Stevie vibe, we have to start with some sort of midi or maxi skirt slash dress. You know, either like a long nightgown, a long dress, long skirt, something like that. And then you want to find a contrasting material to that base. So if it's a silky long nightgown, find something that with more like thicker, fuzzier, more like substantial textures. If it is a very like flouncy, poofy skirt, then go for something that's like lace, netting, crochet. Again, something that's more see-through. So you're kind of playing with opposites. She loved pattern mixing. She even has a song called Leather and Lace. So think about belts and shawls and ribbons and tights and cardigans, all that kind of thing. The tops that she wears tend to be lacy, kind of nightgownish. In the more early years, lots of cropped like halter tops and things. She also wears long sleeve tops with fluted sleeves, which is a great option. And having just some sort of like tight lacy base underneath anything flowy will add a nice texture and layering. Again, she wears a lot of corsets and sort of underwear as outerwear, and having that like nightgown or corset base and then layering skirts and belts and stuff on top of it. So now that we have the top and bottom, we had to add some flowiness. Wraps, scarves, ribbons, shawls, they're super easy to find. You can raid your mom or your grandma's closet, estate sales, thrift stores, crochet it yourself, tons of good options. For the final touches, layering the accessories is huge. So add some chunky crystal jewelry, belts, tights, cardigans, a hat, some platforms. Think about if the attic from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the 90s series, like threw up. You want to just grab all the things, especially like celestial or like mystical type of jewelry, I think is like really, really good for this aesthetic. You want to have all kinds of relics and interesting pieces on you. Thrift stores and estate sales are great places to find weird jewelry, as well as Etsy. Her fashion is intentionally thrifty and vintage, so recreating a Stevie Nicks look should be super easy in your own closet because it's about layering. So even if you feel like you don't have like a Stevie Nicks dress, it's about like tons of disjointed pieces coming together. So skirt, top, adding a shawl, adding a scarf, adding a hat, adding boots. I swear if you have a long skirt and some sort of like fringe, shawl, scarf thing around your shoulders, people will immediately be like, Stevie Nicks? Like it's so clear, especially when you pair it with boots, that's all you need. So with that, I hope you guys liked this video. I love a style spotlight on Miss Stevie Nicks. She is such a cool inspiration and such a cool woman in general. I highly recommend like looking more into her. Fleetwood Mac is also an excellent band in my opinion. If you like style spotlights, definitely give this video a thumbs up because I like to post these kind of things, and comment down below what other celebrities I should, or like even just characters I should cover in a style spotlight. I think it's very, very fun. I've done Lorelai Gilmore, so I'm open to fictional characters as well. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I post videos every Thursday. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram because I post content there almost every single day. And with that, I'll see you next week. Have a happy, happy day. Bye.